Milton Keynes, and you watch the sky change colour and it goes from blue to grey, and you go, oh no.
I know. I'm from the sunny town of Bournemouth. I'm from gorgeous seaside, and then I get that mega bus up to Manchester, and you go through the clouds and you go through the rain, and then I'm like, okay, I'm home. I'm back in Manchester.
I miss Manchester, and I miss that. It's really weird that it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, a year since I've been, which is quite shocking because I used to go every week, and now it's like it's going to be a year. And I think that's the problem with now February this year is that January and February and the beginning of March, it's all anniversaries before the lockdown. So it's kind of not a really, some of it's nice things and some are quite shocking. I mean, like on Monday will be the anniversary of the Pussycat Dolls at GAY 1 year ago. And when we hit capacity that night, there was still a queue that went all the way from Heaven up to Charing Cross Station down to Trafalgar Square. And that was about 3-4 weeks before lockdown happened, the first one. And you just think, and not at that point did any of us think this would happen. No one knew what social distancing meant then, not unless somebody had bad breath and you go, hey, social distance. But I mean, it's kind of shocking. But those anniversaries that are coming up at the moment, they're quite frightening, to be honest.
Yeah, and as you said, like coming up in the middle of March, we will have been in a lockdown for a year, and you just have to think about that year in review. And I mean, we'll touch on your hobbies and what you've got up to through the lockdown.
You know, I had to have hobbies. You didn't say that. Oh my god, I'll find one quickly.
Yeah, but let's get stuck into about you. Okay. So. Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood? Like, where were you born? What was the best part of your childhood? Tell me about
growing up. I think the best part, I mean, it's kind of difficult. I mean, because I didn't really have I suppose it's hard to really talk about childhood when in a way, certain people aren't really here to, like your parents or whatever, to defend things. But I didn't really have, I was brought up in North London. I'm an Edgware boy. I was bar mitzvahed at the Edgware Reformed Synagogue, and I was bar mitzvahed by the same rabbi and the same synagogue as Matt Lucas. So I thought I'd name drop that. I've never heard Matt Lucas name drop that about me, but I'll name drop it about him. My parents split up when I was very young, and I think in a way I was kind of one of those children brought up where there was a lot of emotional blackmail and being used as a pawn in battles and fights, and it was very, very difficult, and certain things, you know, that stick in your mind for life. So, you know, I wouldn't say it was the happiest of childhood, and I think my life got happy when I managed to leave home at 16.
Okay. I mean, do you think that childhood shaped you as a person?
Yeah, listen, I think everything that happens in your life shapes you to who you become, whether it be bad or good. So I think that the things that happened to me as a child made me probably more independent. It made me more ambitious. It made me kind of a bit stubborn. I kind of remember being weird as a child, like used to think a lot of things that I was desperate to say. And I thought at the time they were quite adult. I was quite determined, and I think it's like I think it makes you more like having to not be able to say certain things as a child makes you more outspoken maybe as an adult, because you think I've got the freedom to say what I like now.
And yeah, not having that worry of, oh, is someone going to tell me off for saying that? You get the free reign.
Well, I'm always getting told off for things I say, even now. I mean, I think that's the problem with social media. Everybody has an opinion, so you can say whatever you want on social media, but expect that somebody will not agree. And unfortunately, like, social media has gone a very dangerous and dark direction. And I think, you know, people are very confused by the terminology of freedom of speech and thinking they can say whatever they like. And I think social media, there's a great side to social media. There's a horrible side to social media, but the horrible side seems to be outweighing the nice side. And I think at the moment there's a lot, you know, I think everybody's entitled to have an opinion, but not when it's going to be hurtful. You know, to disagree with someone is healthy. To make it personal isn't.
Yeah, no, I agree. But we don't want to get down any roads of politics or anything like that, because that's not.
I don't know if that's. I wouldn't agree that that's politics, because I think it's you know, I mean, well, it depends, because obviously politics can be quite a generic term, but I don't think it. I think it's when it comes to social media and talking about this, I think it's about life, and it's, you know, I mean, at the moment, you know, I live on my own. Well, I don't live on my own. I live with the dog, but he's trying to kick me out, so I can't really talk about that. But the problem is that most of my life or contact with friends is via Zoom or social media. So social media now plays a huge part in our lives. So, you know, but I'm actually banned from Facebook at the moment.
And we will move.
Free the innocent one. It's not my fault. Sorry.
We'll move on from that swiftly. So going back, what do you think was your earliest memory, and why do you think that sticks out to you now?
Well, I mean, you're making me think of my earliest memory, so I don't really. I mean, I think, you know, it depends on whether you want to think negative or positive. I mean, I think some negatives where I remember, like, being pulled between my mum and my dad. So that was, you know, even at 4 or 5, I remember that. I remember, like, but then I remember being quite mischievous as well and doing nothing. I remember, I don't know if you'll get to see it, but on that thumb, no, where is it? There it is. I think you can see a little, oh, there's a little scar there. Yeah. And that was like, I had a younger brother, and he, I think, I can't remember, we were in I don't know, like a John Lewis or a Debenhams or something like that. And I remember thinking, I wonder what happens if you flip this switch here on his pram, thinking he'll go bang down like that. And he did, but I caught my thumb. So, you know, to me, that was funny and exciting, and probably, and even now I'm that I've always been that naughty. There's always like that kind of, like, you know, mischievous side where I want to do something and you know, we'll always do something stupid. So, you know, that, I think that probably, if you want to think mischievous, that probably when I became very naughty.
Well, I mean, we always a bit of mischief and a bit of just curious, and like being curious about the world. I think that's so important.
I think so. I mean, it is curious, but it's also like there's the side of me that is always want to be naughty and always want to come up with silly things to do. And unfortunately, when you do silly things, it's often at other people's expenses. But then the game is, if you're going to play a joke on someone, you have to be able to take it back.
Definitely.
So if you're going to throw a water balloon, make sure you know you're going to get one thrown back at you.
Definitely.
I remember once, actually, when we were at the Astoria, we used to have huge water fights. I remember it started off with water balloons, with people and we were throwing cups of water, bottles of water at people and all that. And then obviously I like to take things one step further. And I remember getting a bucket of water, thinking, right, that's it. And the person I was fighting with, I went to throw the bucket of water, and they're in the entrance of the Astoria, and I threw it. They ducked down, and it hit a passerby. And so, you know, so yeah. Anyway,
you got to face the consequences when you do.
No, that was if there were a future customer, we definitely lost it that day.
Going on people, who was the most influential person in your childhood?
Sorry, say that again.
Who was the most influential person in your childhood?
As in celebrity?
It could be anyone.
I think teachers at school was my drama teacher, without a doubt, Mr. Kelso. He was a bit of a not rebel, but he allowed me, like, I used to be able to skip gym and PE classes and go and hide in the drama block. And actually, when in my last year of thinking, he decided that he was going to give up teaching and become a vicar. And he went for some interviews, and he let me go and teach the classes, but while he went out for an interview. So he was a bit naughty as me, but he kind of like helped me become a bit more who I am. I mean, so my drama teacher definitely, was, because I think he I don't know, he treated me like an adult, even though I was like still 14, 15. I still could talk to him, and we did things. And I remember when I was about a friend of mine, Dean Nimblett. Dean, if you listen, hi. We were desperate to like go and perform, and I remember going up to Covent Garden Piazza with him. We must have been like literally 14 years of age, and we had this what we thought was the most hilarious double act. Other people may not have thought it was hilarious, but we did, and we didn't realize that the performers in Covent Garden, they needed a license. We didn't know that. We're 14 years of age, but we were determined. We thought, you know what? And we got there must have been about 11 in the morning. By 6 o'clock at night, there was hardly anyone else in the piazza. All the other performers had finished performing. We thought, we are going to do our show, and we did it. And I think we did it, and there was about 4 or 5 people watching, but we did it, and we raised £1.83, something silly like that. But we took it and we gave it to Mr. Kelso, and we said, look, this is to help finance the drama block and all that. And from that, he came up with it. We all came up with this idea to do a 75-hour dramathon that the whole school did, and we hosted it, and we did so, and it was a 75-hour non-stop sketches and things like that, and the whole school did, and it was really, and it was for charity. And so from that, I had the bug there and then, but without him and him kind of knowing who I was, he helped me be able to do things as a child that, and I think that's what it is about with children. It's like you have to find what their talents are and nurture it, rather than, because like, I remember like, I wasn't very, I didn't, a lot of the times for me, when I remember at school, things I wasn't interested in was not because if you're not good at it, sometimes teachers don't support you on it. And I remember in my PE report one day that the PE teacher put in like, he lacks the natural ability to succeed. And I just, who? And I know it always stuck in my mind. Who writes that for a child? He lacks the natural ability to succeed. Well, mate, if you're watching this, I've run 11 marathons since then. So, boom.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I think so. You look at, just because you're not good at something, it doesn't mean you can't actually. You need to teach a child how to enjoy it and like it. And actually, maybe I could have done more at school in sport if I hadn't had reports like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think teaching as a career, like my mum and my sister, they're both teachers, and my mum was actually my teacher. So luckily, I had her support. I mean, it was maths, and I was awful at maths, so I got extra.
I can't think of anything worse in the world than having your mother or a father teaching the same school. I mean,
yeah. At one point, my dad was a teacher, my mum was a teacher, and me and my sister were students at the same time. The Stoddards were taking over the school.
Oh God, no, that would have killed me. I went to school to get away from them.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you live in a house of teachers, you can never escape it. Mum still gives me algebra questions in the car, so we'll just that's a scar that will carry on for probably until I can't do maths anymore. But we're going to play a game. What we're going to do, we're going to play a game of it's like Would You Rather. So I've got a couple of questions.
Oh no!
And it's basically you've got 2 options, and you have to pick one. Okay?
And what if I don't?
And what if you don't? Well, you can give a reason why you don't want to pick either.
Okay,
but
I'm all right for that then.
Okay. Would you rather go into your past and meet your ancestors, or go into your future and meet your great-great-grandchildren?
Neither. I'm sorry. I don't like. I think it's quite dangerous to go into your future. It's that whole, because I think then you're going to be spending your current time trying to change but what if you don't like the future? So then, you're going to become obsessed. So you're actually going to ruin your current life because of something that could happen in the future. And let's face it, what would we have changed now, knowing that this pandemic would have happened? I mean, I know Davina De Campo's husband, and funny enough, he owned Kiki in Manchester, and he sold it just before the pandemic, not knowing that pandemic was going to happen. It's just pure luck. So I'm just thinking, like, if I'd known about the pandemic, I would have sold up. And then going back into the past, I don't want to go back into the past. And then that whole question, I mean, you know, if you could go back to the past, would you then try and change it? For example, if I go back to the past, the question is, if you met Adolf Hitler as a baby, would you murder that baby? But it is a question, isn't it? Because that would, you know, my whole life was brought up, you know, I'm Jewish, you know, the Holocaust and some of the things that have happened in my life are based on the past. So you think to yourself, if you look back, and I know you're not allowed to talk politics, but you have to think, if you go back into the past, if something in your past could create something negative in the future, would you check? What would you do? And you have to look at what point do you go, I'm going to, you know, are you going to make, so no, I'm going to stay, even though I'm not happy in the present, I'm going to stay in the present, I'm afraid.
I think
that neither.
That's, hey, you gave your reasons. I like that. That's
your choice. That is it.
Would you rather be able to talk with the animals or speak all foreign languages?
Talk with the animals. I'm a firm believer that everyone who can should look after an animal. Animals have got as much right to be on this earth as we have, and we need to look after them and also give them better lives. I mean, hang on a sec. Stay there. Don't go away.
So
I'm coming back.
Okay, I think we're going to get a little cameo from Jeremy's.
Hi, baby. See, it's worth me going, say hello. Hello. I think everybody should have it. And sometimes I wish I could get into this little head of his and wonder what he's thinking. Like right now, what is he thinking? And it's like, so if he could tell me, although, do you know what? It's really weird. Sometimes, off you go. Sometimes when you know your animal better than anybody, and like, you know when something's not right, and when they're so they don't have to speak to you, but I know if he's not well, if he's unhappy or something's not quite right, you can just tell.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would love to be able to have I mean, sometimes, especially in lockdown, me and Jacob, we do have conversations. So maybe I can talk to the animal. And actually, so he actually has a voice, but you're not getting it today.
You put a voice in your head.
Jacob's my third dog, and all three of them have voices. Jacob's voice is very similar to Gizmo's voice, who's my first dog. And sometimes when he sounds like Gizmo, I think, oh my God. Anyway, I'm going to get locked up now. So I'm going to stop here.
As a fellow dog owner, my dog has a voice, and when she barks at me or when I'm looking at her, I'm thinking, I know what you're saying, and I'm doing the voice in my head, but no one else needs to know, so we'll leave it there. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes I'm walking in and I like maybe talking out loud, and about a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to myself, and then someone walked by and they looked at me weirdly, so I had to pretend I was talking to the dog. Yes, good boy, good boy.
Ooh. Would you rather go to a movie or to dinner alone?
Hang on, am I going to the movie with someone or the movie alone?
Both of them. So would you rather go to the movie alone or would you rather go to dinner alone?
Well, I think it's going to have to be movie alone. I mean, neither, to be honest. I mean, who wants to go? I wouldn't want to, but at least in a cinema, even when you're with a friend at the cinema, the lights go down. I don't want to share the popcorn, chocolate and ice cream anyway. So, and I do have a very bad habit of, whenever I go to cinema, I do buy more than I need and I get bored of it. I'm not one of these people that can just put something down and then just leave it. So when you're eating popcorn, you go, oh, and then you're feeling sick and you don't want any more. So I have a bad habit. The only way to stop eating it to feel sick is throwing it over the person sitting next to me. So I have a terrible habit of it. So, I mean, it's awful. So, for everybody else, it's better that I go to the cinema alone. But I couldn't sit in a restaurant on my own. I would feel like, I don't know, it would kill me. It's hard enough in lockdown being on my own, but at least I'm being forced to be on my own by the government. Whereas if I go to dinner on my own, there's no reason. It's only because I'm Billy No Mates.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And one last one. Would you rather explore space or would you rather explore the ocean?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Again, space feels very lonely, doesn't it? It feels like you're out there on your own. Depends if you go up there. I mean, obviously, that's you know, when you look at what's going on in Mars at the moment, you kind of think, well, you know what? If I was the first man to walk Mars, I'd be in history forever. So that's kind of cool. The ocean feels more dangerous. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, the ocean feels like, you know, the ocean can turn at any point, you know.
Very vast. It's like endless, isn't it?
Well, I mean, space is pretty vast as well. I would say space is probably slightly safer. You know, and I think, and I may get a nicer tan on Mars.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well,
although I do like, it depends actually. If the ocean is calm, and I've got a jet ski, then I mean, I do like it. There's nothing. I mean, I remember we once went to South Miami Beach, and we hired jet skis one day. And the first day we hired them, it's like you're only allowed to go up and down, up and down. It's like, oh, this is boring. And then we said to the hotel, well, that was boring. Is there anything more exciting? He said, oh, there is a man who does jet ski tours, and it was really good. And he actually took you, and it was really exciting because to me, that was what jet skiing was about. You actually go on a route. So you go to places, and he took it to like round the back and all these celebrity houses. And we saw like the Osbournes' house, which is like, it looked like something out of the Flintstones. He took us up to Cher's house. I started shouting out, Cher, it's me, Jeremy. We've never met, but I started saying that. She didn't reply.
Oh, next time.
I was singing out the lyrics to Believe. Maybe it just wasn't in tune enough.
She was like, I don't know this man.
Not again.
Every day, someone tries.
She's going, thank God for triple glazing.
Yeah. Great. Well, let's crack back on with some getting to know you. And now I'm going to talk about, well, as you said, if you haven't got any hobbies, create one.
I do have hobbies, actually. I mean, my main hobby is running. I mean, I run. Obviously, I'm training for this year's London Marathon. I've got some half marathons booked in. Fingers crossed for. The Royal Parks half just got moved to October, which is really gut wrenching. But we've still got two, possibly the big half and London Landmark, which is in for May. Fingers crossed they may still happen. The annoying thing is that the London Marathon is now October. That is October the 3rd, and they've moved the Royal Parks half to October the 10th. And it's like, hang on, that gives you 6 days to recover. And recovering from a marathon is really painful. So how I'm going to achieve that, I don't know, but there's a challenge. But running is my main hobby.
Brilliant. And have you been out and doing it through the lockdown? Have you been getting out?
Yeah, I mean, I run every Wednesday morning without fail is my marathon training morning. So last Wednesday, I'm going to throw it in there. I did 16 miles. So I'm really happy with that. You can say I always post my routes on my Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you can see me showing off. And I do. I mean, and then I try and run like 3 other times a week. But the problem with lockdown is that motivation is really difficult, and you have good days and bad days, and so sometimes you just it's a real struggle.
Yeah. I'm not trying to turn it to me, but I'm not the most sporty. I love dancing. So I've been trying to do at least like a dance party every day for a good half an hour just to get the endorphins going. But then sometimes you wake up and you're like, I know that if I do that, I'll feel better. But sometimes you don't have the mindset, don't have the energy, do you?
No, one of the things I've done all the way through, so I've kind of to get me through lockdown, I've kind of created parts of the day for different things. So, for example, the mornings are take Jacob for a walk, and then I'll do some form of exercise, whether it be going for a run, or I bought a thing where you put it at the back of the bike so you can ride the bike and it becomes an exercise bike. It doesn't move. So I like to do cycling one day or bike, and I kind of do it, and I kind of won't book anything in. I won't do anything. Anyone asks me to do anything, I say no, mornings at that time. So even if I fail not to do the exercise because I'm not in that place, I have allocated that time. So the morning are exercise and Jacob. Afternoon is then work. Evenings is just like boring. But that is my main thing. And I think it's really important that people do some sort of exercise. And I think everybody's got different bodies. Everybody's got different abilities. And I actually have trained people for the London Marathon. So I'm quite good at training people for running. And there's a couple of friends I'm helping at the moment, getting them into it. And I actually I think I can train anybody to run a marathon. And I think because it's all about the thing about running is one thing that stops people getting into running is that when you do the first run, it's normally quite disastrous and it's off-putting. So like a lot of people will do running and they may get to the end of the road and that's it, and they give up. But that's fine, because actually if you want to get into something like that, what you do is you run to the end. The first run is about going as far as you can get. And when you go running, always imagine that you want, if you are out of breath, you're running too fast. If you can talk, you're running at the right pace. And you just, it's about slowly improving. So if, for example, on your first run, all you can do is get to the end of the road, that's your goal. So your next run, so what you do is you run to the end of the road, walk home. The second run, you run to the end of the road. If you've got a little bit of energy, start that little run back. So eventually you can run to the end of the road and home, and then you go a little bit further out. It's gradual, but it's like, don't be put off by the first run, but you'll notice within about 2-3 weeks, you'll actually notice a slight improvement. But it's like a lot of people get put off by the first one because it's the hardest and it's the one that, and they're embarrassed by it. But actually, never be embarrassed by it, because it's your first run and it's how you take it and how you go. And then it's also the things about what you do to, like, you know, to stop yourself getting injuries and things like that. So it you know, you can learn to like to do something, but but no one should judge anybody on how good they are. And that's the problem. The people are embarrassed by that the first one isn't that good, but actually it doesn't matter. And it's weird. And I found this out because I used to run on a treadmill every day. I've lived with an eating disorder. So I used to run just because I wanted to get my weight down and burn calories. And then we had a power cut and I thought, oh my God, I need to run. Otherwise I'm going to put weight on. So I went for a run outside. So I used to be able to do an hour non-stop on a treadmill. When I went outside, I could going down the road and I was like, whoa, I could do 2-3 minutes. And it's like, so running outside and running on a treadmill is a very different thing. And I realized that. And that's how I kind of realized. But so I thought, right, that's it. I'm coming off the treadmill. I'm going to train myself on the street. So you can do it. It's just a matter of, like, time.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I decided a couple of years ago to do a charity 5K. Like, that was a really big thing for me. And I was training on a treadmill, and then I got and did a run outside, and I was like, I can't even run 2K. How am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
It's so different.
I only do treadmill now. I do interval training or a sprint on the treadmill for that training. Unless it's raining or snowing, then I try and do outside. But then sometimes, again, in lockdown, my motivational there. So sometimes, I bought a treadmill for at home because of my marathon training and all that, and bad weather and things like that. Sometimes just not in the mood to go outside. So I'll stick this morning on and I'll run to Phil and Holly.
Nice. So is there anything else that you've been getting up to through lockdown? Have you taken on?
No, I mean, literally my day, I said, exercise morning. As I said, with the eating disorder, I can't have food in the house. So I do a daily shop, and I know that goes against the guideline, but actually if I did a weekly shop, it would be binged in a night. So I have to have the flat empty of food all the time. And I have to buy daily. So, so that gives me something to do as well. I find the evenings the hardest because then you're suddenly like, there is a lack of what you can do. And I don't want to be stuck inside watching TV. But unfortunately that's what it is. So that's what you have to put up to. I mean, it's good to get addicted to a TV show. That's kind of fun, you know. I mean, it was weird. Before lockdown, never heard of Schitt's Creek. And I thought, how did I miss out on that one? I didn't know anything about it until it won all the Emmys. And I went, wow, that's
what
amazing.
is this show? Yeah.
And now I'm single, so I'm going to do an advert. But obviously, if anyone wants to marry me, I have to be very clear that I will only accept marriage proposals if Moira Rose can do our wedding.
Oh my God.
And that's not a giveaway of the last episode, but it's no spoilers there, but it is a ruling. Watch it and then you'll know what I mean. And then if you don't agree with me, we're not right for each other. And, you know, I'm actually very interested about Schitt's Creek is watching the documentary about it. They did a documentary after it finished. And I didn't realize, and it actually makes it more exciting to watch, that the dad and son in it are dad and son in real life. So you think that the whole LGBT storyline of a you know, Schitt's Creek's amazing because they don't make an issue out of sexuality. Everyone just accepts it. It's a town where there is no prejudice, and it's amazing. But when you actually see that the dad is part of writing it, that actually it's real life, you know, it's and I find that completely amazing.
It is
to watch the documentary as well.
I'll definitely have to watch the documentary. I've seen clips of it on social media and like the behind the scenes.
It's amazing. But
yeah.
don't watch the documentary until you've watched all the episodes, because it actually makes it better to watch the documentary afterwards, because you watch it and you go, oh wow.
Nice. Is there anything that you're watching at the moment?
No, I'm just thinking. Obviously, I'm watching UK Drag Race. I'm watching season 13 Drag Race. I'm not addicted to anything at the moment. I mean, I'm not like, there's nothing there. I mean, I'm watching bits, like obviously, like, you know, I still watch Coronation Street, EastEnders, Emmerdale. I'm a soap addict. I watch all of those, but I'm not like, I'm trying to think if there's anything.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm looking for something to get hooked into. I do like American cop shows. I mean, I do like Law and Order, SVU. I do like FBI. I do like the American cop show, but there's nothing that, you know. Obviously, I mean, funny. I mean, obviously, It's a Sin. I just watched that. I mean, obviously, well, I watched it 4 weeks ago. It was weird, but I did rewatch each episode every Friday, even though I'd watched it. I mean, that was really good. Going into lockdown and then E4 putting it all in one go, and boom, I just watched the whole lot in one go.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I think like I mean, for me, I love theatre. So usually my evenings are spent going to the theatre. And at the moment I'm having to adapt. So I've watched nearly every live version of a theatre show that could come out. I've watched every musical film that could come out.
I mean, I mean, I'm obviously like theatre is part of my background, and I love musical theatres, and a lot of my friends are in theatre. And, you know, you see, the problem is you can't talk about musical theatre without getting political. But, you know, I have to say it. Shame on Boris and shame on this government. I mean, I just think the way they've treated hospitality and the arts is absolutely disgusting. And when we eventually come out of lockdown, I'm sorry, but political or not, I'm saying it. When we come out of lockdown, I hope every theatre and every bar, every restaurant bans everyone in this cabinet from ever going to any of them again, because they have treated us abysmally, and they do not deserve to be part of that culture again. I'm just absolutely disgusted. I mean, you know, I understand why some things have to get lasting coming out of lockdown, but that doesn't give an excuse not to look after them. And if you want people to respect lockdown, you have to make sure they're looked after. And that's one of the biggest failings of this government. They have failed to look after people. They have failed. I think the one word that this government lacks is empathy. They have no understanding of what it's like for people at the moment. And they talk about support bubbles, but they live in a bubble, and that bubble needs to be popped, and they need to understand what it's like for people at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
I do understand. No, it's okay. It's okay. As much, part of me was like, oh no, but to be honest, I completely agree. But
Yeah.
we'll stop the politics there. But yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us. It's been
Are you kicking me out? Are you doing a Jackie Weaver on me?
I'm not doing a Jackie Weaver.
Oh my God!
You have no authority. Read the rule book.
I have
No.
read it, and you don't.
I'm not kicking you off. I promise I'm not doing a Jackie Weaver.
Well, it feels
but
like
I am rapping.
This has gone into complete chaos now.
She's put him in the waiting room.
You know what? How incredible. I mean, like, her whole life is just, I just think it's amazing. I think she's incredible. But that's the, when we talked about the bad part of social media, but on the good part of social media, you look at it and you go, isn't that exciting? That something like that is just like a data that something, goes viral, and it's like, but in a positive way. And it's just like, I just think, and I saw her on Loose Women and things like that. And I think, you know what? All power to her. I think actually, and you see, when you see the Jackie Weaver that's gone viral, but actually when you see her talking, actually she's a very educated and very clever lady, and she's involved in local politics, and actually it has highlighted how important local politics is, even though we're not allowed to be political. But I actually think that that is the positive of social media. Probably the other people on that meeting don't feel the same. Sometimes that, like, little things like that are exciting. And you know what is exciting for somebody to have that 15 minutes of fame? There's nothing wrong with that 15 minutes of fame if it's a positive 15 minutes of fame. No one wants the negative one, but the positive one, and she is. And I think, and she seems like a very level-headed lady who will just get back to normality now.
Oh yeah.
But
I will not rest until Jackie Weaver is on Strictly Come Dancing. I think she'd be great.
I think, you know what, it depends on whether, like, listen, we don't really know her, so we don't know whether she wants to milk this or, unfortunately, there's some very unscrupulous agents and managers out there who may, like, throw little lies at her and go, oh, we can make you this, we can make you that, and there's little things tempting. But to be honest, I hope that if she does get someone to look after, they're an honest management, because the problem is that, there is a downside to fame, and it's not like, only certain people are ready for it. And, that I think that if she does decide to go somewhere, I hope that somebody's going to sit down with her and say, these are the negative. You are riding a high at the moment. And with GAY, I've worked with some of the biggest names, and I've seen the good side they've been through, and I've seen the bad side they've been through. And some people, and some of the ones that you work with who have been involved in reality TV, have taken a lot. I was involved with someone with Drag Race who had a bad episode, and reality TV chooses how they're going to portray you. You don't get a say on it. You can try your best, but a certain thing. And I remember the day this particular episode and this particular thing came out, and they were riding a high on social media, and then they had one bad episode and they were slaughtered, and they weren't ready for that, and nobody got them ready for it. So I hope, if somebody is going to take Jackie on, I hope they are going to get her ready if there's a bad day, because while you're riding a high, that's amazing, but a bad day is hell on earth. And as I said, if we talk about social media, people think they're entitled to opinion. I've had such horrible things said about me on social media, and you can do nothing about it, because you can't defend yourself, because sometimes when you defend yourself, if you've got thousands of, so I'll give, if you've got thousands of followers, but the other person's only got hundreds, then you're opening up what they're saying to a lot more people. So sometimes you think it's better to say nothing. I mean, I am a big fan of blocking. I believe I really do it. My advice to anybody, if anybody says anything to you that upsets you, it's easier to block. And one of the reasons it's easy to block, sometimes someone will say something to you, especially in lockdown with mental health and things like that. Sometimes people will say things and it really eats into you, and it eats. But if you block them, what it stops you doing is replying. It kind of brings it to an end quicker. I had an example. One thing that, I mean, I'm a Facebook and all that. I mean, they need to come up with guidelines to stop people setting up fake accounts. It's absolutely true. I got a message on Facebook about a week and a half ago, and it was a really horrible message. And it wasn't even about me. It was slagging off GAY staff. Really vile. And we're in lockdown. Why are you slagging off my staff? We're in lockdown. It's like, what? This is not the time. If you've got a complaint, write a complaint. Okay. But it's like, it was that, and I was like, and I stupidly replied defending, and then it just got, and I thought, what? In the end, I stopped and button with it. Why am I doing that? Why am I putting myself? And it really, and I did a rant on Facebook about people sending vile messages, because I wanted to get a message out there. It's like, we're sat at home on our own. You may think it's okay to say something, but it isn't, because we're on our own. We're overthinking everything at the moment. This is not the time. The rule should be only send out nice messages. What's the point of complaining about a business at the moment? We are closed.
You're closed, yeah.
There's nothing you can do. We may be the worst business in the world. We may provide the worst customer service. You may hate us, or you can go somewhere else. But at the moment, we are closed. So what is the point?
Yeah.
All you're doing is, and like at the moment, we're sitting here going, how am I going to survive this? So the last thing you need, and it's like, it just adds on to the list of things that go, is this worth coming back for?
It's hard, isn't it?
I wonder what Jackie Weaver would say if she was here right now.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get her on next time. I mean,
if you do, I'm coming back.
I'll be like, she's here.
With authority or no authority, I'm coming back.
Well, in that situation, then I will definitely message you and get you back on, because if we get Jackie Weaver, if you're listening, we would love to talk to you.
I just want to come on to be kicked off by her. Then I'll get a T-shirt made. I got kicked off by Jackie Weaver. Official. That's what I want. I don't need 30 seconds. That's all I need. Just come on, cut me off. I'm gone. I'm happy with that.
We'll try and make it happen for you. Don't worry. But I am going to have to wrap it up. Unfortunately, I'm not doing a Jackie Weaver. I'm just wrapping up. But thank you so much, Jeremy, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We learned so much about you and about what the running. I think it's brilliant, and good luck with the
sponsor me for the London Marathon. We're working at the moment which charity. I think it's going to be, I mean, obviously we've got our own charity, the GOI Foundation. I think it's going to be, we're just talking with Macmillan's because they're the lead charity for the London Marathon. But one of the things, obviously, in lockdown, there are so many other illnesses, hospital, it's not just about COVID, and there are so many other health issues and diseases out there that are being pushed to one side, and we're going to lose, we look at the death rate of COVID-19, but actually the death rate of other diseases, they may not say that person lost their life because of COVID-19, but they did because they're not getting the treatment they need, or the fear of going to a hospital or a doctor to say it. So I think it's important that, as we hopefully come out of COVID-19, that we get our fundraising hats on to some of the other charities that will desperately need it. And so we're hopefully going to do something from Macmillan's. Not confirmed yet, but they've sent me a few ideas. I just haven't opened up the email. Nice. Well, best of luck with it. And for everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. We are live every week on a Saturday, so please make sure you join, hit subscribe, and subscribe to the Common Sense as well, so you can get all the updates direct in your emails. But thank you so much, guys. Have a great Saturday,
and we'll see you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.